Hi guys, it's Tyler. I'm back with another movie review, and this week I am doing Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Now, I remember last week I did the first Jurassic World. Now I'm doing the second one because I plan on going to see it this weekend. The third Jurassic World, I'm planning on going to see that this weekend with some friends. So I'll do a review on that too. Um, So, as I just said, you can see in my background, it's gonna be Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. So, okay, so the basic storyline of this one is the dinosaurs are in trouble because there's a volcano that has been active again on the island that they are staying on. Um, and Congress is, or the government is in conflict on whether or not to save them. They choose not to because they feel like it's an act of God, and so they're just gonna let the dinosaurs die off, which not everyone is okay with. So there is the Dinosaur Protection League, which is led by Claire, who their goal is to save the dinosaurs from the volcano and not just let them die off. They find out that the government is not wanting to save them, so they get discouraged. But then Claire gets a call from um, Benjamin Lockwood, assistant, I think it is, named Mills, who tells Claire he has a sanctuary for the dinosaurs and that he intends on saving them. So she teams up with Owen, who is reluctant at first, and they go to the island to save the dinosaurs. They get double crossed and realize that it was a trick. The only reason they wanted them to go to the island with Owen specifically is to capture Blue because they knew Owen had the most connection to her. And then um, they realized that it's a scheme to sell the dinosaurs, not save them. And they're creating a new species which they need Blue's DNA for, which is why they need Blue. And they want to sell them and use them as weapons, which is kind of like what Hoskins started to do in the last movie, which is why I didn't like Hoskins very much. So I didn't like them very much either. And then there's also a granddaughter and a nanny, and there's two other characters, Zia and Franklin, who work for the Dinosaur Protection League with Claire. And at the end, it's a conflict of the dinosaurs are trapped um, in the cages that the people put them in in Lockwood's mansion, and there's toxic gas coming. And the big conflict is: do we let them out, or do we just let them die? So I'll get that in the review what they did. Okay, so I'm just gonna talk about what I liked and what I didn't like about this movie. So first, really, that's the basic plot of the movie. So there's a bunch of subplots. Um, okay, so when Claire is told by Mills that they need Owen to go and help her get Blue, she goes to his cabin bungalow, whatever he lives in, and tries to convince him to save Blue. And it's clear according to those two, they broke up because Claire didn't want to live in Owen's van, and Owen wanted to travel the world in his van. So Claire told him to leave, and so Owen left, and there's a whole silly little argument that they have, like who actually left who. Um, but there's clearly still sexual tension between them. There's clearly still attraction between them. A lot of scenes in the movie, including there's one little funny scene where they're sleeping in the I think one of the trucks that's carrying the dinosaurs off the island, and Claire is sleeping, and her hand is resting on his bare chest and his shirt, and he wakes up and sees that, and he just kind of goes, like he definitely likes that. And then Claire wakes up, and then he tries to pass off like he's sleeping. So, and then there's another little funny scene where they're on the island trying to rescue the dinosaurs. And he goes up to Claire like he's about to like kiss her or tell her I love you, and he goes, "I just want you to remember one thing if I don't make it back. You're the one that made me come here." Again, I love Owen's humor. So great. But I don't understand why they did this with Owen and Claire's relationship. I don't feel like the breakup was necessary, and I feel like it was for silly reasons. Either there was more reasons to it that they didn't express, or it really was just a silly breakup. But I didn't like what they did with their relationship. I felt like they could have kept them as a couple in the movie, and there could have been conflict in their relationship throughout the movie that played out while trying to rescue the dinosaurs, and that could have been an interesting dynamic because they get back together at the end of this movie anyway. It's kind of like the first movie where they in the first movie it was said that they broke up and then they got back together at the end. So it's kind of the same thing in this movie. The beginning they're broken up and then they get back together by the end of the movie. So it's I don't really understand why they chose to do that with their relationship. I don't feel like that added anything to the plot. So I'm just gonna say I did not like that element of the movie. I kind of wish they'd have just kept them a couple for the whole movie, not just get back together at the end. That's the one thing I didn't like. Um, I do like the new characters. Zia is a woman who works for the Dinosaur Protection League, and she's full of spunk. She's very spunky. I do like that. Very knowledgeable and caring for the dinosaurs. And then there's Franklin, who is a nervous wreck throughout the whole movie. But by the end of the movie, he ends up getting more courage, and which kind of reminds me of kind of forgetting his name, the dude at the in the first Jurassic World. Larry. That's what it was. Larry. It kind of reminds me of Larry. Not that Larry was ever a nervous wreck like Franklin, but they both kind of went through the same character development where they got courage by the end of the movie. So I do like those new characters. I do like the nanny. She treats the Lockwood's granddaughter, Macy, as like she's her mother, and I do like Benjamin Lockwood. Um, so it turns out that and then while they're on the island, they find Blue, and just as Owen is um calming Blue down and convincing her that he is on her side because they haven't seen each other in 3 years. It's been 3 years between the first and second movie. So he is trying to get her to remember that he is on her side and that he raised her. And just as he is about to get her to come, the other guys turn on him. They shoot Blue with those bullets that make you go to sleep. I don't know what they're called, but the knockout bullets, I'll call them. And then Owen gets pissed and runs at them and tries to confront them, but then the guy shoots bullets at him and leaves him there to die, basically, and then leaves Claire and Franklin to die. They take Zia because Zia points out that she's the only one that can keep Blue alive and they need her. So they take Zia with them. Um, this is an interesting element because I feel like it's a plot twist and like a villain plot twist. Like you think these guys are the good guys at the beginning, but then they bam, they're the bad guys. And it kind of reminds me of Frozen, what they did with Hans. Like we thought Hans was the good guy all the way through, and at the very end, bam, he's the villain all of a sudden. I didn't like that, but I will say I think with this one it was better done, the plot twist, because it was towards the beginning of the movie that they had a twist in there. So like, okay, at least it wasn't at the very end we realized that the villains. We realized early on that they're the villains, and it's a much more interesting way they did it. So I kind of preferred the way they did the plot twist over kind of like what they did in Frozen with Hans. But I thought that was an interesting little twist. And if they had to save the dinosaurs, they wouldn't have been the villains. There wouldn't have been much of a plot. So there's that too. And let's see. Okay. So while they're trying to save the dinosaurs from Mills, who is we now know is the villain, um, they end up getting locked in jail because the people catch them on the trucks, trying to save the dinosaurs. And Mills and Claire have this interesting confrontation where Mills basically tells Claire, "Well, you exploited these dinosaurs too," because she's fussing at she's chastising him for trying to sell the dinosaurs, and he's like, "Well, you did the same thing in your park. You put these animals in captivity and for the people to enjoy, and the people pay tickets to see them." So I guess he kinda has a point. I mean, she kinda did that, but at the same time, Claire had didn't have malicious intent, though. Claire didn't kill anyone. She wasn't the villain. She wasn't trying to kill anyone to get ahead. So that's where his argument kind of falls. Their intentions are different. Like Mill's intentions are malicious, and he kills people on the way out. Like he kills Benjamin Lockwood by smothering him, which is a very dark part of the movie. And he also he's another one that dies at his hand. Like he's just a bad guy. Like he's doing this for the wrong reasons. Claire was at least doing it because it was her job. She wasn't trying to be malicious. Um, so there's that little conflict. I agree with Claire because I don't think that Claire was being malicious again, like I said. So different intentions there. Okay, and then the new species they do is the Endoraptor, which okay, that's not a very creative name because it's made from the Indominus Rex and a raptor, Blue, because they want to make this super weapon that can also listen to human commands, which what Blue does. Blue is able to respond to human commands. So that's where they got the name from, but I'm like, they could have been a little bit more creative with that, but that's all I'm gonna say about that. I do like I'm gonna get to that later. I do want to talk about one little thing. Okay, there's several different plot conveniences in this movie. Like one of the first plot conveniences that I saw was when Claire and Owen were locked in the cell, and there just so happens to be a little Pachyosaurus in a cell next to them that has woken up, and they're the ones that have the hard head and the horns, and they ram things with their heads, and they can break down walls. So it just so happens that there's a Pachyosaurus right there that can ram their brick wall in their cell and break them out of their cell. So it's kind of a plot convenience. However, they do end up using the Pachyosaurus for other things in the movie. Like he also attacks the people in the room that are trying to auction off the dinosaurs. And so he serves more roles than just a plot convenience. So at least they used him for something other than a plot convenience. So that I mean, I did like that, but plot convenience. And then there's a scene where the head military guy of the bad guys sees the Indoraptor in the cage, and he shoots him with the knockout bullets, and he thinks that he knocked it out. And he goes inside the cage because he has a thing for collecting the teeth of dinosaurs. I don't understand that. It never explains why he does that, but whatever. And while he's doing that, the Indoraptor is actually not knocked out. It's actually still awake. And there's this funny little moment where the Indoraptor lifts his tail like this behind him, and he goes, the guy goes and looks behind him, and the Indoraptor opens his eyes and goes, like the evil mischievous look, like I got him now. And then he does it again, gives the same mischievous look. I found it hilarious. And then the military guy ends up getting eaten by the Indoraptor, which I thought was pretty funny and well deserved. It was just like Hoskins in the last movie. He deserved it. Sorry. Um, and then there's a scene where the Indoraptor is chasing Maisie through the mansion. And actually, no, before that, I'm sorry. Before that, there is a scene where Owen and Claire find Macy and they're gonna take care of her because she just found out her grandfather died, and that's a traumatic thing. And while they're leading her out of the building, um, Mills comes up and confronts them and says, "Oh, you're gonna take care of her? You don't know what she is." And then goes on to say that she's a clone, that she wasn't born, she was created, which is very traumatic. And then right, and then I guess the Indoraptor comes and attacks Mills and his people, so that completely turns the focus away from that. And now they have to run from the Indoraptor, which I'm gonna get to that. That's a complaint I have, but I'll get to that at the end of the review. But so then Macy is running from the Indoraptor. She runs inside her bedroom and she gets under the covers, and then the Indoraptor is able to smell her out, and he goes into her room and almost eats her. And then Owen comes in with his gun and is shooting at the Indoraptor, but the Indoraptor is too strong and he's about to eat both of them, which when suddenly another plot convenience, Blue, the raptor, pops in the room and starts fighting the Indoraptor and saves Owen and Macy. Again, plot convenience. How did Blue possibly know they were there? Like, again, I mean, they used the plot convenience well. I'm just saying it was a clear plot convenience because without Blue, they probably both would have been eaten. So then they escape and they get on this glass building, and Claire comes with the gun and the laser thing, and she's pointing it at the Indoraptor. And as the Indoraptor responds to lasers, and so she points it at Owen. Owen does this. The Indoraptor starts attacking, and Owen moves out the way and is trying to get the Indoraptor to break all the glass and fall. Well, once again, Blue comes in and fights the Indoraptor and gets the Indoraptor to fall through the glass and get killed by the pointy things that are in the museum, which again, Blue is yet again used as a plot convenience because there's no way she could have known that. Like, clearly, they just put that in there to just be like, okay, Blue to the rescue again, which I think they could have done it without Blue. So I don't know why they did that, but whatever. Um, and then, of course, Mills gets eaten by the dinosaurs that are let out of the cages, which now here comes the real big ending of the movie, um, where there's toxic gas filling up the mansion and the dinosaurs are trapped in the cages. And Claire and Owen and Macy are left with the conflict of there's a big red button, and when Claire presses the red button, it will let the dinosaurs out. If she doesn't press the red button, they'll die off. Well, Claire decides not to press the button, which makes sense logically because there are people in there are people, they're not on an island. These dinosaurs, if you let them out, would roam the earth. And there are people that would be a big danger to the human population in multiple ways. I mean, there are carnivores and everything. So Claire, in my eyes, made the right decision. And so when Claire decides not to push the button, we think, oh, okay, the dinosaurs are going to die off now, which is sad, but it makes sense because, again, there are lives at risk in the world. Well, Maisie, the little girl, ends up pressing the red button and letting them out. And her reasoning is they're alive just like me, I had to. Meaning the dinosaurs are also clones like she is. So she's empathizing with them and she's relating to them and she let them out, which two complaints about that. One, I get that she's being empathetic. I get she's trying to be like she's trying to relate to the dinosaurs, but you're still putting a whole entire world at risk. And also, I know they did. The only reason they had Macy let the dinosaurs go, and the only reason they made her a clone probably is to have that plot thing where she lets them go because she empathizes. But obviously, her letting the dinosaurs out, there has to be a third movie now. which is now out. Because they would have just let the dinosaurs die off, there wouldn't have been a third movie. And now there's a third movie because she let them out. So that's another reason why they did that. So it's not a money grab thing. It's their excuse to make another movie because the Jurassic Parks had 3 movies. Now the Jurassic World has to have 3 movies. So and also they never address the trauma she has from finding out she's a clone. I mean, they addressed the drama with her losing her grandpa, but they never addressed it her as a clone. Like that's traumatic for her. She's 10 years old. That's traumatic to find out that you're a clone, like you're a scientific creation basically, and not that you were born. And I guess they address it a little bit by her connecting with the dinosaurs, but I mean, she's gonna need therapy, I guarantee you, after finding that out. I mean, any child would need therapy after finding out that they were born. I mean, that they were created and not born. So I really hope they address that in the third movie. Um, but I don't know. I thought I wish they would have addressed it a little bit more at the end. So, what did I think overall of Jurassic World Part Two: The Fallen Kingdom? I didn't think it was good as the first one. I thought it kind of fell short because of, I mean, I like the visuals, I like the animations, I did like the characters. I just didn't, first of all, I didn't like what they did with Owen and Claire's relationship. I kind of didn't like the plot conveniences. I didn't like that they didn't address the trauma of her being a clone. Um, Indoraptor's not creative. There was a couple of funny scenes, and the villain gets his just desserts by being eaten. Um, and I didn't like how they included, oh, let's let the dinosaurs out so we can have a third movie. So, so yeah. So overall, it was okay, not as good as the first one, in my opinion. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Like and subscribe, and I will see you all next week when I do Jurassic World 3. Bye.